Welcome back, everybody. In this lesson we're going to talk about the toolbar. This is just going to be a high-level overview, as upcoming lessons are going to be in-depth for some of these tools. We're just going to touch on each one and take a look at what they are and why they're there. The first one here is called the Move tool. The Move tool basically moves whatever you've got selected or whatever active layer you're on. If I select this logo layer, I will move the logo. If I select this image, it will move this image. You can also select groups. I've got this whole top section grouped together. I can move everything together. And that's essentially what the Move tool does. Moves things around. The next thing is the Marquee tool. The Marquee tool gives you the option to either be the rectangular marquee tool, elliptical, or single row and single column. We'll cover those in upcoming lessons. The Marquee tool is used to select certain things. So if I'm in here and I want to select part of my logo, and then I want to just move that part of my logo, I can do that. The Marquee tool has a lot of different things that it's used for, but the main thing about it is that it's used to select an area on the active layer. That's an important thing to note. However you have your selection, it's going to apply to whichever layer you have active. Let's deselect this. The next one is the Lasso tool. The Lasso tool allows you to basically free-form a selection. For instance, if I am in this image and I want to select just like that, now I can do that. Okay. The Lasso tool has a few options under it, like the Marquee tool. It allows you to do the polygonal lasso and the magnetic lasso. Next, the Magic Wand tool and the Quick Selection tool. These ones are used to help you select areas that are harder to just drag a line around. For instance, with the lasso, if I wanted to zoom in and just make a lasso around the egg here in my logo, I could do that. But some selections are not quite so simple. Maybe I want to come over to this and select her hat. First, I would come select the image layer. Then I could use the Magic Wand to select kind of a certain color. And you can use the options to control that. And we'll talk about that also later. And that's the Magic Wand. The Quick Selection works kind of the same way. Next, we have the Crop tool. The Crop tool, I think most people are pretty familiar with it. When you select the Photoshop Crop tool, it's going to come up with the crop outline around the entire image, allowing you to kind of drag into whatever you need to specifically get the crop you're looking for. And then you would hit OK or Enter, and it'll crop out what you've selected. The other way to do that, now you'll notice that now that I escaped that, undid that, the crop outlines are gone. You can get those back by simply selecting another tool and coming back to the Crop tool. If I hit Escape, those crop lines go away, and I can use this as a Marquee tool to select the area that I want to crop. Then it will bring me back to having my outline tool, which can still further be refined from there. Escape will always exit out of the current crop that you have. Next, we have the Eyedropper tool. Eyedropper tool has a lot of other options in here. So I think just as for the basic overview of it, it's a way to allow you to kind of select things. You know, I can select what color I'm working with here. And you can see over here, as I'm selecting the colors, it changes my foreground color. Next, we have the spot healing tool. Spot healing has a few different things, and it's designed to help you fix things in your image. Things like red eye, or areas of your image that aren't quite the way you want them to look. You can use this to kind of help get rid of blemishes or extra hairs or extra things in your images that you don't want there. And it's actually really powerful. I'm kind of downplaying it right here, but when we talk about it later, you'll see where the real power lies there. Next, we have brush. The brush tool is the most basic and useful tool that Photoshop offers. It's painting and drawing. Has the pencil, some mixer brushes. This is the thing that you would be most familiar with just for drawing on your image. You can change your brush size, the hardness of it, whatnot. We'll talk about that all later too. Next, we have the clone stamp tool. This is probably one of the most powerful tools that Photoshop has. It's used to kind of copy an area of your image and clone it over to another area of your image. And that's to simplify it. But that would be kind of, if you've got grass and you want to copy grass over to another area that you want grass on, you can use the clone stamp tool for that. It's got pattern stamp also. Next, we have the history brush. The history brush can be used with the history palette, and you kind of use that to selectively restore certain areas of one of your images to the way it used to be. So what that means is Photoshop keeps track of a lot of levels of history as you make changes to your document or your image. You can use the history brush to, instead of going all the way back to a specific spot in your history, you can just paint certain areas where you want it to go back to that level of history. Then there's the eraser tool. As simple as that, the eraser tool erases or deletes areas of an image. Next, we have the gradient tool. Gradient applies gradient fills to whichever areas you have selected. We have smudge and blur. This tool, or these tools, can really be used to kind of blend or alter your colors in a smaller area of your image. Well, I guess the way to explain that, smudge almost works like liquify. Not really. Smudge just pushes your image around. So if we look at image 2 over here and I smudge, it pushes things out. And you can control the levels of how hard you're smudging or pushing. And blur will simply blur around the area, which is kind of hard to tell right there, but it's painting blurriness over certain parts of your picture wherever you paint. Next, we have the burn tool. Burn has dodge, well, I guess dodge is selected by default, but dodge, burn, sponge. These are based on the kind of a darkroom techniques that you use for photography. And they're used to lighten or darken or desaturate small areas in your image. The pen tool, which is next, is what's used to draw smooth curves for lines and selections. It does Bezier curves. This is, if you're familiar with vector at all, this is a tool that allows essentially vector type of art in Photoshop. You create vector lines, vector paths. They can be scaled up and down. But yeah, that's what that's used for. And you've got kind of the same as any other vector program. You've got the basic pen tool, you freeform, add and delete your anchor points, and convert your anchor points. And we have text or type. Type is essentially, exactly what it sounds like it is. It allows you to type words into your image. You can do it in a few different ways, horizontally, vertically. You can make a type mask, which is actually kind of neat. I'll do that really quick just to show what that does. Make it bigger. Now what that's done is it's allowed me to make a mask with type. It's pretty cool. Go back on that. Next we have the path selection tool. This one really relates more directly to the pen tool. If you created paths with your pen, the path selection tool and direct selection tool are going to allow you to select the paths or the anchor points that you created with the pen tool and manipulate them with that, move them around and such. Underneath that we have the shape tool. The shape tool allows for you to do basic shapes, rectangles, rounded rectangles, ellipses, polygons, as well as lines and custom shapes. And shapes are essentially vector objects that are filled or stroked or whatever types of things you want to do with them. So you draw a shape. I should actually point out what happens there. So if you look up here, and I'm on the top layer, if I draw a shape, shape will automatically get its own new layer, and it's filled with the foreground color that I have. I can change that to whatever other color I want it to be, rather than having to select and fill. The shape gives you the power to quickly edit it. You can edit it through its properties, and I have a properties window open here on the right, but it's also going to be up here at the top. You can see there's no stroke on it right now. This is the fill color. You can change it here too. You can change lots of different options about the shape. Okay, let's get rid of that. And next we have the hand tool. The hand tool is just used to essentially navigate around in your image. Now, I've got the whole image showing right now, but if I were to zoom this up to 100%, now I can't see my whole image and I want to come over here. That's what the hand tool does. It just allows you to kind of move around in your image. You'll see that you may notice that I also have my navigation window open, and you can do the same thing here by moving this red box around. Okay, we'll come back down to 50% there. And then we have the zoom tool. The zoom tool simply allows you to zoom into an area of an image. You can zoom in by selecting and dragging. Well, that's not really selecting and dragging. It's you click on a point, and I'm clicking on her face, and then as I drag out, it zooms into that spot. Or if I drag the other way, it zooms out of that spot. Under the zoom tool, you have an edit toolbar option. This is just a quick way to get to what we saw earlier with the customized toolbar. You can customize your toolbar there. Next, we have switch color. So you can see right here we have a foreground and a background color. My foreground color is green, my background color is white. If you click on the little switch colors there, it just reverses those. And the foreground color you can change by clicking on it. Once you click on it, you can see that the color palette comes up. Same thing for the background color. And below the colors we can see that there is an edit and quick mask mode. Quick mask mode has been around for a while, and it's a good way to make complex selections with the drawing and painting tools. So rather than doing a marquee and making a selection and using that for a mask, you can use your paintbrush and pencil and whatnot, and you can paint a mask. And the last thing we have is the screen mode. The screen mode is used to just switch between different modes of your screen. We can go to full screen, look at things, we can hit escape, come back. It just strips away some of the elements and allows you to just look at your document a little bit differently. And that's it for the toolbar basic overview. And as always, if there's anything that you feel I've left out, let me know. I'll be happy to put it in there or go in more detail on it. A lot of these tools are going to be coming up in future lessons. So if you are looking for more details on those, just please keep going forward, and we'll see you in those lessons. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next lesson.